Hello my audience. Today I got myself a black suit and I'm going to give you a mega speech. So we are going to be talking about variety of subjects over here. So let's fasten our seat belts like that and let's start with the first subject. And the first subject could be the quality of your life. And nowadays, when you think about life in general, you see a lot of, this unnecessary suffering maybe in the world. And I feel that it's mainly related to the fact that we don't really care so much about our quality of life, but just the functionality of our life. We want to make our life kind of enjoyable and also functional, while at the same time it being easy. And what comes out of this is this kind of situation where we can't make any more progress and we get stuck. We can no longer kind of challenge ourselves to become better in anything and we give up. And what comes out of that is all kinds of negative behaviors like drug taking and also stupid risk taking behaviors. Some people get into these extreme sports like skydiving and climbing the Mount Everest and this kind of thing because we want this kind of excitement or we want to prove ourselves that we can do this and this kind of stuff. But what I have kind of realized from my own life is that it can kind of give you some confidence if you can do something that you are not capable of doing in the past. It can give you some confidence, but at the same time it always raises the bar and you can never be quite satisfied with yourself, and some people don't maybe seek this kind of thing at all. So if you really think about it, like what makes you kind of satisfied in life, I would say that for me at least it's that things are kind of more than just rolling by pretty good, I have to see progress in my life in some way, I have to see some betterment. And that's the next subject maybe of this video, and that's life betterment, can you make your life better? Well, yeah, I believe so. You can make your life a lot better, there's your physical health, there are some things that you can't maybe like fix in your physical health, you might be chronically ill, or sick, and you can't make it better. But then again, there's a lot of things that you can make better in your life. For example, the kind of obsession with studying and the obsession with academia. I kind of ask this question that does studying make your life better? Is it something that will make your life better? And I feel that not necessarily so, that it can make your life actually a lot worse. And you can ask the question, is there any kind of another route that you can take if you don't want to go that college route, so to say, to make your life better? And I'm gonna say that there's a huge amount of opportunity for you. But the problem is just that when you do it on your own, you are kind of left to your own devices. It's kind of the same as climbing the Mount Everest on your own. Of course, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but if you want to go where nobody has gone before us, that's exactly what you have to do. Because you have to ask the question, like what added value does it make to the planet Earth if there's so many people doing the same thing? Like that has been one of my main things in my life for a long time now that I have been just, looking at life and thinking that if there's like 1,000 people doing this behavior, what does it add to the equation if I do it too? Like, shouldn't I like be kind of different to add value to life? And that's what I feel, that you should kind of do things a bit differently. And that's always going to entail this kind of a risk, and it's always going to entail this kind of a uncertainty, and you're gonna be like alone, and that can be quite challenging. So that might be the next subject of this video, like how do you deal with this kind of aloneness feeling when you are going just on your own devices to some unknown place. Like, how do you deal with that kind of feeling? Well, I'm gonna say that you're gonna have to find those inner resources in you that will kind of push you through. And it might be kind of a maddening journey through this, but you're gonna push through this, I'm sure, because if you have the kind of, if you have the guts, so to say, you can do this. But then again, it might be very kind of inviting to go the group route, so to say, where the herd is going, and that might feel like it's a safe bet, but most of the time what is deemed safe and what is actually safe are not the same thing. It might be for the fact that in some aspects, for example, in some group endeavors, you never see the guys that were kind of hugely fucked up by that, For example, if you are heavily into this drug dealing game, you understand that the drug takers that died, they are in the graveyard, so you no longer see them. So if you like conclude in your mind that taking drugs is pretty safe because everybody who's taken is still alive and kind of kicking, you have to understand that actually no, they are not all alive anymore, and so. Think about that. Well, do you want to go for just safety in your life, or do you want some kind of danger, or do you want danger that is kind of safe? Well, that's the next subject of this video. There's this whole horror type of there are horror movies and all kinds of theme parks, and people want this kind of an excitement in their life, but at the same time they want to kind of feel safe. And they want the best of the both worlds, and that's why they also get pretty fat doing this kind of behavior, because they deem that they can eat the cake and save it too when they can't. So think about like, do you want danger? Like, what kind of danger are you excited about, and why? Well, the human mind is kind of interesting because it kind of is stuck easily in the past and its own memories. That's your ego. And the danger seeking human being kind of wants to get or break out of its ego through these danger behaviors. For example, that's skydiving or going to war, for example. And the problem all here is, of course, that when you go to, for example, a war, you might be coming back with the PTSD or something like that. And PTSD is very interesting because you could kind of say that if you seek those kind of behaviors in your life, you are already kind of traumatized before you go there. It just changes form, maybe. So think about also that when you make this kind of decisions in your life, that if you appreciate the human mind enough, you start to understand that you probably cannot get away with these behaviors without harming yourself in a huge way. And that might be problematic, and it might lead you to these like extreme experience seeking behaviors, So interesting thing about here is, of course, that when you get this kind of an upward experience or this kind of, you know, high experience, then when everything comes back to normal, you know, you kind of feel that life is a bit dull and it lacks something. And this is the basic thing about many addictions also. And if you think about stimulation in general, like nowadays, you know, most people are so hooked to their screens and they seek this visual mind-based, you know, this psychological stimulation that doesn't always or most of the time have any grit or like, I mean, grit to the mill of your mind. It doesn't have any, you know, deepness in it. You know, it's just flashing lights and movement. And, you know, action movies, for example, they are just that, you know, they don't give you anything on top of that. And your mind, it gets hooked to this kind of thing. It gets hooked to this kind of thing and seeing this kind of things. And your mind then, when that kind of thing is not present in the present moment, cannot find, you know, any excitement or any kind of interest in anything. So you deem that this thing is not interesting and this thing is not exciting. But it's just the fact that you have been oversaturated, you know, with these exciting images and this kind of stuff. So your mind is oversaturated and you can't do anything about it, except that you could quit stimulating your mind with these technologies, for example, and your mind would change. You would become a completely new person. You would be able to sit and meditate for an hour and you would be able to do these things. But you have to understand that most people around you are so complacent in this that they would never even suggest to you that maybe this is not the way to live, and there's huge amounts of, you know, detrimental things in this. Of course, they always tell you about the dangers of screen use and this kind of thing, and like how it's not so good for you. Well, you freaking get this. But I'm just gonna say that they overlook the mechanism that is behind all of this. It's just that your mind gets used to whatever it's being put into it, and it starts to demand more of it and in a different kind of form. So when you, for example, think about this, you know, shooter games, you know, there's Call of Duties and, you know, this kind of crap, they are very, you know, stimulating to the mind, and on top of that you take drugs or something like that and you play those games. It's kind of a very unnatural state for your mind to actually be in, and then you wonder, like, why is life boring without, you know, all of this, you know, crap. Well, it's just for the fact that you don't really understand that there's no any deep psychological type of interest in that. And if I put some really high quality thing in front of you, you can't really appreciate it at all, you know, because your mind has been, you know, numbed, you know. And there's the conspiracy theories and the Illuminatis and this kind of thing. And well, I kind of think that these, you know, conspiracy theories and these Illuminati things about these subjects, they are kind of true, that the masses are being dumbed down, you know, a lot, and they are being done so in a certain kind of, well, it's a brainwashing. Of course it's brainwashing, that's for sure, but it's also more than brainwashing. It's about guiding their mind so they can't be interested in those things that would be kind of maybe harmful to the power of those people that want to be on the top. And they don't have to do this very deliberately, maybe, or I don't know, but I feel that they don't have to do it very deliberately, because they just, you know, rely on the fact that most people are brutes, you know, that they don't want to influence themselves with higher knowledge. Maybe. So then you can say that, like, well, what is higher knowledge then? Like, does it only come from human beings? Then you have to understand that there's two types of knowledge actually. There's knowledge that comes from human beings and there's knowledge that comes from yourself, your own self. And all of human knowledge has, like the deep knowledge has actually come from like the human self. If you think about, for example, like the Buddha, his knowledge came from himself. He didn't learn this anywhere. Of course, he had some teachers, but this is not like going to school, Like, you won't become a Buddha by going to fucking university. It won't happen. So there's a lot of stuff that you can just gain out of yourself, You can learn through yourself things that you couldn't learn from the outside. And everything that's in the outside is already kind of known, maybe not very widely known, but it's kind of known. And you can say that there's nothing new under the sun, but I'm gonna say that that's very wrong actually, that there's a lot of stuff that has been never experienced by human beings and are very, very rarely experienced by human beings are very, these kind of experiences that you could call peak experiences that you would maybe want to seek if you are a very daring person. And I've experienced those experiences, and I'm going to say that they are maybe the kind of thing that makes you very separated from the people around you and make you kind of immune to the herd at some point. And it's this kind of way that if we have a human being that has this, knowledge and experience base in her or his experience, repertoire, so to say, and he kind of makes his own life view or world view out of that, then he can't really understand a person that has a very different type of a world and life experience. And this is kind of not the things that have happened to you. These are the things that you have sought out yourself to happen to yourself, And that's the next subject of this video, this kind of victim mentality in life. That a lot of people are experiencing in their life, this thing where they kind of feel victims to the world. But you have to understand that if there's even a slight difference that you can make in your behavior, it can kind of guide you in a completely different trajectory. If you go 1 degree to the left instead of the right, you might end up in a completely different, destination and destiny, And you're gonna say that I'm kind of a victim of going always to the left, but I'm gonna say that you have the freedom to go to the right also. You don't have to take the left, and vice versa, And most of the time, human choices are exactly that. They are very, like binary, and they are very, when you look at your surroundings and you think like, if I look to my right and if I look to my left, is the choice on the left better than on the right? If so, why don't I take it? And that's exactly what I mean. You don't see like you don't seem to kind of appreciate the impact of small things. That you deem things too small. And that might be small thinking, like if you want to think big, you have to understand that a very small choice might be a very big one, might be a complete game changer, And yeah, you just don't appreciate that yet, but you might at some point start to appreciate that. Yeah, a slight color variation somewhere, might make the difference between poison and something that's healthy for you, So be discerning. And that's the next subject of the mind, you know, the discernment. Like, what's discernment? Well, discernment is kind of different than just saying about life how it is, you know. Discernment is maybe the same way that your digestion kind of works. Your digestion takes in food, you know, and it tries to you know, extract nutrients from the food to like keep your body up. Nowadays, you know, though the food might be the way that there's not much nutrients in it, so it just kind of passes through your body, and that might not be so helpful for you. So you have to also understand that your body kind of needs, so to say, a certain kind of fuel. And the food system is one of the things also that kind of makes you complacent in this way. You know, it changes the nature and the way that your mind is. And they say that you are what you eat, and it's pretty much true. You know, if you eat only dry stuff, you're gonna become pretty dry. Yeah, it's just for the fact. If you eat only animals, you're gonna become like an animal. It just happens. You know, just be more discerning in this also. And discernment is also about, you know, understanding the impact and the consequences of certain choices, you know, in your life. If I pick this black, how do I become compared to if I pick this white or this yellow or this green or something like that. Like, it has an impact, you know. Do I become more formal if I wear black? Well, what I think about black over here, let's end on the black, because I got this suit, and I mainly got this to like practice my speeches, you know. I'm not gonna keep this suit, by the way. I don't like black suits, you know. You see that this is not me, you know. It's just not my style. But I feel that it's great. It's great for this occasion that I'm gonna have. And yeah, like black, you know, it's kind of a young people color actually. I feel that it makes you look kind of young, and if you're no longer that young, black is not a great color choice. You know, you should become more colorful as you know, progress older, or maybe more gray. Yeah, and yeah, that's what I feel about black. I don't really appreciate black too much, you know. Too much black, it's just too much black. But here it looks pretty good, you know. I like this combination as a whole, but yeah. There's the speech for you. It was kind of a self-help type of a speech. Now let's do another one. Thanks for watching.